Welcome to episode number 14 of ECW on FX from the Mid-Hudson Civic Centre, and this is the go-home show to that pay-per-view style televised event that we'll be doing this Sunday, ECW One Night Only. It'll be going up against TNA's pay-per-view for this month. I can't remember what it's called, but the idea is that, well, it is a bit of a dick move. We are at war with them, so as many pay-per-view buys as we can take off them, the better in terms of hurting their finances, and hopefully this show, being a big show airing live on FX, will get us our best TV ratings yet. Everybody should want their eyes on that show. Steve Corino and Angel Williams walked to the ring to open up this episode of ECW on FX. Corino cutting a promo stating Angel Williams' refusal to compete tonight, and she will not be taking part in the mixed tag team match at One Night Only. Paul Heyman came out to nip this in the bud pretty quickly, informing Corino that both of them signed contracts that gave him the right to book them in any match he wanted, and he's sure that they both understand the consequences of breaching a contract. The idea there is that Paul Heyman will fire these two if they don't compete this Sunday. At One Night Only, Angel Williams and Steve Corino will face Alisson Danger and CM Punk, and Angel Williams will face Alisson Danger in the opening match of ECW on FX right now. So it's a really good opening segment. Paul Heyman doing a masterful job of improvising as he always does. The show getting off to a really hot, strong start there, and we go into the first match of the night, which is quite poor as I expected. Neither of them have been in many matches. It's an okay performance from Alisson Danger actually, but it is subpar wrestling and little heat. A 36 from Angel Williams there, and as I said, a 43 from Alisson Danger. Losing heat to the storyline is probably the biggest negative of that, but the finish comes. Alisson Danger is completely in control. She is dominating Angel Williams. While Angel Williams is a wrestler, we're putting it over as if she's more of a valet who's been forced into the ring, despite the fact that she does have some skills. Alisson Danger completely in control of the match, but CW Anderson and Stevie Richards try and get involved. They are not successful. Danger knocks them both down, but in the distraction, Paul Burchill comes in and enters the ring and hits a gut-wrench powerbomb to Alisson Danger. She completely ragdolls it, a vicious, brutal move, and Angel Williams is able to crawl over Danger to pick up the victory. It says submission there, but that is not accurate as we go into the post-match segment. On the outside of the ring, Steve Corino smiles. He's enjoying what's just happened to his sister. He's gone way off the edge. Originally, there was this pretense of him caring about Alisson. Now it is pure hatred. He is celebrating Paul Burchill powerbombing her. Of course, Alisson's boyfriend CM Punk is out as quickly as he could be. He pushes past Steve Corino, throwing him into the guardrails before getting his hands on Paul Burchill. Punk takes the Ripper down and lays into him. Burchill's stronger than CM Punk, but the adrenaline, the fired up CM Punk is able to take him down, and he's just beating the shit out of him. He's relentless. Nobody dares to even try come between him. Not Angel, not any of the Extreme Horsemen. Eventually, security come down. They have to pull CM Punk off Paul Burchill, but he is clearly far from done with the man who hits a gut-wrench powerbomb to his girlfriend. That is obviously a dastardly act from him, taking this rivalry to an even higher level than it already was. It's a 53 rated segment, not so good, but while CM Punk is led away and Paul Burchill is checked on, he's obviously in a bad way after those punches from CM Punk. The commentators look back at last week's show where Low-Ki defeated Jerry Lynn in the main event, overcoming a pre-match attack from Lynn. Key was also attacked after the match. He avoided a gore from Rhino, but Rhino came back a second time and took him down. Low-Ki will face Rhino at this Sunday's One Night Only show, and the two World Championship match competitors will be heard from later in the show. Again, not a good segment rated on the two main eventers' overness, but thankfully their in-ring performances should make up for that, and I've got no doubt that that's going to be a really good main event for us at One Night Only. Backstage, CM Punk quickly reacting to what has just happened. He barges into the office of Paul Heyman, banging his hand on the chief of ECW's desk. He's asking Heyman if he saw what just happened out there. He's obviously furious, barely even coherent, but he does demand that he gets to fight Paul Burchill tonight. He grabs the piece of paper on Heyman's desk, tears it up. He says he doesn't care what was planned for the main event because Punk is fighting Paul Burchill whether Heyman likes it or not. Heyman's a little bit taken back by this. He didn't expect it, but does agree to make the match. He, of course, understands how serious the incident was. He also informs Punk that because he can see how fired up he is, when they go out there in the ring, it's going to be a Falls Count Anywhere match. CM Punk struggling when going off script, which is a bad thing, but actually with how incoherent and angry he would have been, maybe it will further put over how emotional he was. It was a good segment to lead into the second match of the night. Nigel McGuinness avenging what happened to Bryan Danielson a few weeks ago in a match. McGuinness and Danielson v Mahoney and Tony Mamaluke. Bryan Danielson was injured by Balls Mahoney. Nigel McGuinness has taken it upon himself to get back at Balls Mahoney. Bryan Danielson hasn't really said anything to indicate that he wants revenge, but McGuinness, any excuse to beat somebody up, and he does that. A decisive, dominant victory for him with a good 67 rated performance. Balls Mahoney with a 36. Balls Mahoney improving his technical skills as a result of that. I was interested to see if being in the ring with Nigel McGuinness would help him, and it did. After that, we continue the build to another of this Sunday's matches, with Chuck Palumbo and Little Guido wasting no time to come out and take advantage of the 2-1 numbers game by jumping Nigel McGuinness as his hand is raised in victory. William Regal gets up on the apron to help McGuinness. He's managing them, but he is of course also a very accomplished competitor himself, but he is hit with a big boot from Chuck Palumbo, the first time that Regal's been involved physically in any way since coming to ECW, and it is him getting knocked down by Chuck Palumbo. Guido and Palumbo are then continuing to lay into Nigel McGuinness until Bryan Danielson runs down to return the favour. He saves his partner. The commentator is saying that Bryan had been advised not to risk anything physical before Sunday, but he refused to watch his partner being taken down, and in terms of preparing for that match on Sunday, it'll be better for him if Nigel McGuinness is in a good condition. Bryan Danielson successfully clears the ring and checks on his partner as the FBI back away. The commentators put over that match on Sunday, the FBI v McGuinness and Danielson, is a number one contenders match. The winners will face the Havana Pitbulls. The Havana Pitbulls, who were supposed to be in action tonight against TJ Wilson and Harry Smith in a non-title match, are seen in the locker room with Homicide, who talks about their match being bumped from the card tonight so that CM Punk and Paul Burchill could fight in the main event. Homicide says that Heyman talks about Paul leadership, but now he's letting the talent dictate to him. Homicide says that's fine, but Paul Heyman needs to listen to the hustle. At One Night Only, they're scheduled to face the New Hart Foundation in a 3-on-3 match, and if tonight's main event's a Falls Count Anywhere, he wants them in a street fight. Homicide improvising well throughout the segment, and that is a good angle to promote that match this Sunday. As we go into the final talking segment of the show, promotion for this Sunday's main event, Low-Ki and Rhino. Neither of them are at the building tonight, with it being so close to that event, and this was conducted earlier in the week by Joey Styles. Low-Ki is first asked to give his thoughts on the match, but he said that he doesn't need to sit here and tell people about how big Sunday's show is going to be. They already know that. He instead tells Joey Styles to look into his eyes and tells Rhino to do the same. He then tells the cameraman to get a close-up because he's going to show the viewers how serious he is. At One Night Only, he's going to kick Rhino's head off his shoulders and become the new ECW World Champion. Low-Ki is straight to the point, but Rhino dismisses the claim, saying that the pipsqueak Low-Ki stands no chance against him. The way he's talking, he'll be lucky to even make it to Sunday. In fact, Rhino might just put him on the injured list with Rob Van Dam right now. This draws Low-Ki up from his seat, and the two men go nose to nose, very tense, Joey Styles failing to come between them and calm things down as Low-Ki headbutts the champion, sending him right back into his seat and going backwards. An embarrassing moment for Rhino, and he will not let that lie, but Low-Ki walks off as Rhino is restrained by some crew members. There is blood coming from the nose of Rhino just days before that big match, and Low-Ki, more than anybody since Rhino came back to ECW, seems to have got under his skin and seems to actually be getting the better of him. Both improvising really well. Again, it's always a risk when you don't script him, but Low-Ki complains when I don't script him, so I always sort of give him the freedom. I'd say about 50% of the time he does well, 50% of the time he doesn't, but this is definitely one of those good times when both men come out looking good and it gains heat to the storyline, which is all we want to do with these major segments on the Go Home show. Low-Ki looking very good as we go into the main event. CM Punk absolutely fired up, and he lost, remember, at Living Dangerously to Paul Burchill. It was during a bit of a bad spell for him. He lost to Jerry Lynn and Rhino and then Paul Burchill. But tonight he is carried by the anger that he holds for what Paul Burchill did to Alisson Danger. It's a wild brawl match. It goes all around the ringside area as it is a Falls Count Anywhere match. But CM Punk does pick up the victory with a go to sleep. He pins Paul Burchill 1, 2, 3. And when the ref attempts to raise his arm in victory, CM Punk is not interested. Instead, he just goes straight back to pummeling Paul Burchill in the head. After what Burchill did, nobody can blame him for what he can do. The commentators agree that this is a completely justified action after what he did to Punk's girlfriend. He continues to rain down the blows, eventually once again being pulled away from Burchill's motionless body, Taz is in no doubt that Punk was willing to end Burchill's life there and then. He wasn't going to stop until he was forced to. Steve Corino and Angel Williams must be somewhere watching that, and they'll be terrified to have to face him and his equally pissed off girlfriend this Sunday. The commentators promote the world title match as we go off the air, as well as the Hustle versus the Harts and Kevin Furtig versus Tommy Dreamer. Nigel McGuinness and Bryan Danielson will face the FBI, while Jerry Lynn will potentially compete against Rob Van Dam. Jerry Lynn will be there. Will Rob Van Dam, will he be cleared after Jerry Lynn took him out with that steel chair shot to the back of the head a couple of weeks ago? We'll find out at one night only, and that is the end of the Go Home show. It gets a 65C rating, a very good Go Home show with a very good main event and a couple of good segments in there as well. Really happy with how that show went, and we'll see how it does in the TV ratings. So it's a 2.96 rating, 2.225 million viewers, the most viewers that we've had. Again, another record-breaking week in front of the sold-out Mid-Hudson Civic Centre. Things are still looking up for ECW. The growth continues, and with the one-night-only show just 2 days away, not only are we going to hurt TNA's Sacrifice pay-per-view with that, but I do think and expect it to be our most viewed show to date in the save on what could be the last episode of this save on TEW 2016. I do intend to update the mod and continue this save in TEW 2020, but to do that I will need time to update it, so this could be the last show of this series for TEW 2016, and I've got some big matches of course for that show, and I do have a huge surprise that I think is going to be a fitting end to the TEW 2016 part of this series.